when you first came, because you started at Adelaide as a
Adelaide
chaplain.
Crows. So I was at Adelaide Crows for 5 seasons.
Yep, 5 seasons starting what year?
Yeah, that was right back in about 2011, and I was the first chaplain that the Crows had ever had.
Yes.
So up in that point in time, every AFL club had had a chaplain at some point.
Yes.
The Crows hadn't. They'd always sort of resisted it.
Yeah.
And even for about a year, they resisted. I went and pitched myself for the role. They resisted. And there was a couple of players I was meeting with offline, and they seemed to benefit from the mentoring I was giving them. So at the end of that year, the club came to me and said, look, yeah, we've still got a few issues welfare-wise around here. We wouldn't mind if you joined us for the next season. We can see what you're doing with a couple of our players, so come in. And so they invited me in, but they didn't really quite get the concept of chaplaincy because they never experienced it before.
Correct.
And so they were quite hesitant in giving me access to the players. So that first couple of years, it was like a very slow build.
So did you have an idea as to what they thought you would bring if they were hesitant about chaplaincy? What was the
Can tell you
misunderstood?
exactly what, because their CEO, and he wouldn't mind me saying this because we've got a great relationship, and he saw my role evolve over time. But initially, I remember him saying to me, look, we'd prefer you not to talk to the players. And what he meant was, you're here, that's fine, but you only need to talk to the players. So I think for most people, pigeonhole you as the religious guy coming in.
Gotcha.
We don't want you to talk about the Bible and God and all that sort of stuff, unless the players want to.
Yep.
So you're not to proselytise.
Yep.
Understand that. So there was a little bit of reservation initially. They said they'd sit me in the cafe there on site, and if the players want to come and talk to you, they're very welcome.
Yep.
Well, the players very rarely came and talked to you. So you had to find ways to help out in the club and be proactive in all of that. But when a couple of major incidents went down, particularly for a coach. We had a coach Dean Bailey, an assistant coach, that passed away with cancer, and I was very involved in caring for his family and running the service for the Adelaide Crows, a funeral service. That's when the lights came on for the club. They realised, this is what a chaplain can bring us.
Yes.
And also a level of care that I was able to model to the club and the players during that time and the families. The respect for my role and also the trust in my role all of a sudden just went through the roof. And they invited me right into the inner sanctum after that. They kitted me up with gear. They got me involved in game day. And from then on, I never looked back. The chaplaincy role was very strong. And even when I left the club, they had no hesitation in replacing me with another chaplain.
So how far into your chaplaincy role were you when that happened?
About 18 months to 2 years. So it was a bit of a slow burn for those first couple of years. Not overly involved in the life of the club. I was around, but they would have seen me as a bit of a insurance. If there's a player that if we really need a chaplain, it's like a dentist. You got a toothache, we'll send you off to the dentist. Right. If we got a spiritual ache, well, you got a chaplain in the corner there. And there was a couple of Christian players in the team, so they would often seek me out. We'd have conversations, and the club knew that, and they were grateful for that. But for the wider team, I didn't have a lot of rapport initially.
So was that first 18 months a bit awkward, you could say?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was quite awkward because the players, even you can tell the players are wondering, why is he here, and what role has he really got to play, and but you had to hang in. Like anything in life, if you believe God's called you to something, and you're going through some really hard times, and there's no sort of breakthrough, you just got to hang in there and persevere and believe that God's got you there for a reason. Because people in Adelaide, in the Christian community, they'd been praying for that role for about 20 years, and it never came to pass. So here I was, and if I was going to walk out after 12 months, which I could have easily done, because there was not a lot going on, then all of a sudden we're back to the square one. So you just had to hang in there, believing breakthrough would come, and breakthrough did come.
And how long was chaplaincy a thing in the AFL before you started?
I reckon it goes, the guy, Alan Dunn, who was here at Essendon before me, he started as chaplain at the Essendon Footy Club right back. So he had a great relationship with Gavin Wanganeen, and then Gavin was staying with him actually for about a year. And so that would go right back to about 1990, somewhere around there.
So it was around for a bit, but Adelaide kind of just refused until you came.
Yeah, so it was around about late 80s, 90s when chaplaincy was coming in at a professional level.
So did Adelaide call you?
No, because I'd also done 5 years as a chaplain. When I retired from my own sport, I went into chaplaincy with the under-18, what was then called the TAC Cup. And so I was with the Eastern Rangers, which is your equivalent, say, the Calder Cannons, the Geelong Falcons, in that league. Yep. And so these are the best players in your region that are all hoping to play AFL. And so I have a good relationship with some of those players, and a couple of them got drafted to the Crows. So when I went over to Adelaide and sort of pitched myself to the Crows, I bumped into one of those players, and they said, fantastic, it's great to have you here. So I started connecting with one of those players that I already had a relationship with. So for 12 months, he and I hung out, and that's really that was the starting point. Because the club saw that relationship unfold over that 12 months and thought, well, that can't be a bad thing. And the Crows had gone through a pretty ordinary season. They just lost another coach. I think they just sacked their coach, Brenton Sanderson. So that was the time they invited me in.